Hello guys, welcome back to my channel. As you can see in the picture today, let's start the story of where Issei was the grandson of the legendary demon hunter Dante. Issei Hyoudou was your typical high school student, until one fateful night he learns the truth of a bigger world beyond him and embraces what he truly is. But before we start, please consider subscribe to the channel and give this video a like. Don't forget to check the description for more informations. Now let's get into part 1. Issei Hyoudou is your regular second-year student to Qua Academy. Issei has an average build for his age, brown spiky hair with 2 locks behind his head and brown eyes. He happens to be a massive pervert along with his 2 friends, Mitsuda and Motohama. They are known throughout their school as the Perverted Trio, as the group made its way to the Kendo Club building. As it is a Monday, the students aren't in the best of moods. We see the Perverted Trio pass by the old school building known as the Occult Research Club's, ORC for short, base of operations. Aikino, who's that student with brown hair over there? A certain Redid asked while looking out the window of an old-looking schoolhouse. These hairdos say, I believe. Why? Are you interested in him, Rias? The now-named Aikino replied in a teasing manner. Yes, I am. I just feel that something is odd about him, Rias said. Rias Gremry and Aikino Himejima, also known as the Great One East Sense of Qua Academy, named by the student body. Kaneko, I'd like you to observe Hyoudou from afar. Rias ordered. Kaneko Tuju is a first-year student in Qua Academy who's considered to be the school's mascot, who has a petite figure, gold eyes, and sports white hair with the front downing 2 long bangs that goes past her shoulders. As you wish, President. Kaneko said in a monotone manner. Time skip until class ends. Hey, you say come on. We're gonna peek at the Kendo girls, Motohama said happily with Matsuda beside him. Matsuda dons a buzz cut for his hair or lack thereof with an average build. Motohama is a bespectacled young man who has black hair with split bangs in the middle. Meh, you guys are gonna hug everything again, I won't have a turn. Issei said nonchalantly. We promise you'll get your time, just be the lookout for us, Mitsuda said while grinning. Fine, you 2 better get me that spot. Alright? Issei replied hesitantly. Of course, the 2 said in unison. Issei decided to walk off towards a nearby tree, leaving his 2 companions on their own. Back with the 2 who's peeking. 2 girls walked up behind the 2 boys peeking. One has pink shoulder-length hair with most of it being held back with a headband, and one had brown hair with twin tails and bangs that covered the majority of her forehead. You 2 have got some real balls coming here again, Kata said, pink-haired girl. How many times do we have to beat your asses to get the message through? Murayama sternly said. Do we get a 30-second head start? The duo simultaneously asked. You have 10 seconds, Kata said. Why don't we just start running? Mitsuda fearfully said. Where the hell is Issei at? Mitsuda thought to himself. Unbeknownst to his 2 friends, Issei is already walking back to his home. I sure am glad I decided to go home, those 2 can be a little too much, Issei said to himself. As he walks towards a bridge, a feminine voice called out to him. Excuse me, are you Issei Hyoudou by any chance? The girl asked. Issei looks in the direction of the voice and sees the beauty of the girl. Wow, she's hot, Issei thought. The Yuma sported a very attractive figure, long silky black hair that goes down to her hips, purple eyes, and wore a school uniform that Issei doesn't recognize. Yes, I am, and you are, he replied. My name is Uma Amano, and I'd like to ask you something. She spoke. Go ahead, Issei replied. Would you like to go out with me? She finally said. Issei was shocked, to say the least, when he heard this sudden confession, but he saw this as his shot to finally get an advantage over his 2 friends. Sure, when would you like to go? He asked. A Sunday nearby the convenience store at noon sound good? Yuma asked. Sounds great, see you on Sunday, Issei said as he and Yuma exchanged contact info while dismissing himself. What the 2 didn't notice was a petite girl watching them at the far end of the bridge. Back at the ORC, the clubhouse is a 3-story structure with a clock tower on the 3rd floor. It's white with a black roof and vines crawling up to the 2nd story. Its interior had wood-paneled walls, Victorian-style furnishings, and a bath on one of its sides. Rias Gremory while sitting on her chair in silence, waiting for Kaneko to arrive and give her findings. As if on cue, Kaneko entered the room. So, Kaneko, what do you have to report? She asked, breaking the silence. He's been asked out by a fallen angel. Issei walking home. Issei made it to his home where he was greeted by his mother. I'm home, he announced. Welcome back, dear. How was school today? His mother asked. Issei's mother looked like she was in her late 20s with long brown hair that reached her lower back and hazel eyes. It was fine for the most part until I was asked out by a girl today, he said happily. Issei's mother stood there surprised, mouth agape, and rushed over to her son, bear hugging him. I'm so happy for you. I never thought that this day would come, she said while squeezing the life out of the boy. Your father would be so proud of you, she softly said with a solemn expression on her. Yeah, he would be. He spoke in a happy tone slightly laced with sadness. Why don't we eat dinner to lighten the mood? His mother spoke. Dinner went on normally, but Issei's mother can't help but squeal in joy as his son finally has a girl that he can take out. I'll go up to my room now. I also washed the dishes, Issei said to his mother. All right, dear, thank you for helping with the dishes, she replied. Issei took a shower and went straight to his room, lying on his bed. Man, what day! I have a date on Sunday and I've never seen Mom this happy before. Feels nice, he thought to himself as he dozed off to sleep. In Issei's dreamscape, Issei sees a blank space in white where it seems to have no end in sight. Partner, can you hear me? A gruff, booming voice called out to him. Wait, who the hell are you? And what's with the partner thing? I don't even know you, he hesitantly asked. I am Drake, the Welsh dragon, and I will be your partner from now on, the voice answered regally. Suddenly a field materialized and a pillar of flame manifested in front of Issei. What Issei saw both amazed and horrified him. In front of him stood a 40-meter-long red western dragon with yellow horns, with 3 green jewels on its chest, one being a larger piece and middle with 2 smaller gems flanking its sides, one for each of its back, hands, and knees. You're really a dragon, but what are you doing inside my dreams? Issei asked. I was sealed in a sacred gear named the Boosted Gear, and that sacred gear has chosen you. Drake spoke regally. What's a sacred gear anyway? He asked. It seems I owe you an explanation, but first let me ask you this. Do you believe in the supernatural? Drake said no. Issei answered. To put it in simpler terms, every myth you've heard of and read are all real, from gods, angels, fallen angels and devils, and as fate would see to it, a fallen angel has asked you out on a date. Drake explained. So, everything from the Greeks, Shinto, and biblical stuff is real? Issei asked. Yes, everything, Drake responded. Yuma-chan is a fallen angel? Issei asked in confusion. Yes, and she wants something from you, and we need you to be prepared for the worst. Drake answered in a weary tone. The worst? Like what? Issei wondered. Most likely she will try to kill you, but we can't be too sure. She may have other motives. Drake answered. That brings me back to my original question. What's a sacred gear? He wondered. They are tools given to the humans by the God of the Bible to defend themselves from the supernatural world. Drake replied, I see. So what powers does the boosted gear possess? The boy queried. The boosted gear is a Longinus class, a crit gear that doubles the power of the wielder every 10 seconds, hence the name. Drake explained. Longi, what now? Issei asked in confusion. Longinus class sacred gears are gears that can potentially kill gods. As of now, there are only 13 known sacred gears of this caliber, and you are the wielder of one of them, the dragon explained. How do I use it? Issei asked. We will discuss your abilities tomorrow. As it stands, it's midnight in your world and I need you at 100% capacity, Drake said. Drake then disappeared and Issei went to sleep. Morning. What a crazy night. I had a crazy dream with the dragon and the supernatural being real. Issei thought to himself. That was not a dream, partner. Drake's voice boomed in Issei's mind as a green glow appeared on the back of his left hand. What? Issei screamed, causing his mother to run up to his room. Issei, dear, is everything all right? His mother asked. Yes, Mom, I stubbed my toe just now, nothing to worry about, Issei replied. All right, make sure to come down for breakfast, she added. Sure, Issei said. Good thinking, partner. I was shocked to say the least when thought of that lie. Drake spoke. Well, I had to come up with something, right? Issei deadpanned. Right you are, now on to your abilities and something more. Drake said, What do you mean something more? The boy wondered. So, you really don't know? Know what? Tell if you know something, Drake. The boy pleaded. Partner, you're a devil-human-dragon hybrid, and I'm guessing your parents sealed your powers and changed your appearance to blend in more with the humans. The dragon explained. I have to ask Mom about this, Issei said with a tone of uncertainty. Issei goes downstairs to sit at the table with his mother to eat breakfast in silence. Mom, what am I? The boy asked his mother. What do you mean by that, dear? His mother responded. Am I human or not? The boy asked with a solemn tone. I guess it's time to tell you, but how did you know? The mother replied with sadness in her voice. Braig told me, Issei said. Ed Draig, the Welsh dragon of domination. His mother responded in shock. Greetings, mother of my host. I believe you owe your hatchling, and I, an explanation of his heritage drag, made his presence known. Very well. Issei's mother spoke hesitantly. Issei, you are not what you thought you were. You're the son of a pure dragon named Sirzechs, and a half-blood devil, being me. My father was the legendary devil hunter Dante, son of the legendary Dark Knight, Sparta. As for your father, he was a dragon that was trained by Dre before he was sealed in a sacred gear. Your father and I sealed your powers for you to live a normal human life, but as it stands now, you have the right to know everything, she explained. That explains the familiar aura on you, partner. Sirzechs was one of my best students, and you being a descendant of Sparta is nothing short of a miracle. I'm looking forward to seeing how powerful you become, partner, Drake added in. Issei's mother began to glow crimson when the light subsided. Her form was completely changed. She now had long white hair that was a bit shorter than her disguised form, with split bangs that slightly framed her face. Issei was amazed when he saw her mother change drastically. Now let me make a call to unseal your powers, Issei's mother spoke. She picked up the telephone and dialed a number. Devil May Cry. A mysterious voice spoke. Hey Nero, it's me, Kalina. I'm cashing in that favor you owe me, my son, and I will pay you a visit. So it's time, Nero spoke. Yes. We'll be going there shortly. Kalina, Issei's mother spoke. Do I have any special powers? Issei asked. You'll find out when we get there. Now let's go. You're skipping school for a few days, Kalina says as she makes a teleportation circle big enough for the two of them. The emblem for the Sparta's magic circle looks like a crude Captor Sakura magic circle, but instead of a star in the middle, it's a silhouette of Sparta's head and glows in different colors depending on who's casting the spells. Somewhere in Red Grave City, Issei and his mother arrive outside of a two-story building mostly made from bricks, with the most prominent feature being a neon sign that says Devil May Cry. We're here now, let's call. Ina was cut off by the sound of her son vomiting. Oh yeah, I forgot that teleporting for first-timers can be a little rough, Kalina thought to herself. Issei, after vomiting, regained his composure. Kalina opened the door with her son to see who was inside. Kalina, is that your kid? Nero asked as he pointed his finger towards Issei. Nero is a young man in his late 20s with short white hair and a faux hawk hairstyle and blue eyes. He wears a dark blue hooded jacket, a tattered dark crimson shirt, and black pants with military-style combat boots. Yes, he is Nero, Issei. Introduce yourself. Kalina said. Hello? My name is Issei. Hi, pleasure to meet you. Issei did so in a groggy manner. First time teleporting. Figures. Well, I'm Nero. You could say that I'm your first cousin. Nero replied. Nero, about the favor, I need you to help him unlock his demonic powers. I can't unseal it since his father died. It takes two of us to unseal it. I figured you'd know since you know where the demonic swords are. Kalina explained. I got an idea, but it's a gamble. Nero answered. We need him to stab himself with the remains of rebellion while he absorbs the Yamato and Sparta's sword. Nero further explained. You're kidding me, what if dies in the process? Kalina said furiously. Look, since he's Uncle's grandson, I figured he needs to do the same to unlock his true power as rebellion does. It fuses man and devil. But for his case, man, devil, and dragon, Nero calmly answered. You have a point actually. Kalina calmly spoke in defeat. Besides, those blades need a new wielder. Ever since our fathers fought to their own deaths, those 3 swords have been collecting dust in the old place, and I'm sensing that Issei here is the man for the job. Nero said confidently. Alright, fine, Issei. Are you okay with this? Helena asked his son. Yes. I really want to know what I truly am, Issei said in a determined tone. That's the spirit, kid. Come on now, we're going to the old place. Nero said. Old place? Issei asked. Sparta's home in the human world, where Dante and Virgil were born and where everything started. Nero spoke in a solemn tone. Sparta residence. The trio was looking at a 2-story Victorian-style mansion with red tile roofs and a gray exterior with vines growing around the lower area. Wow, Issei thought. Now, before we unlock your powers, let's meet the rest of the family. Nero said with a smirk. The trio made their way to the mansion's backyard where 5 memorials were planted with accompanying pictures. Sparta, a loving husband and father, a beacon of hope for humanity. Sparta is a handsome man in his early 30s with white slicked back hair and blue eyes. Eva, a loving wife and mother, the ray of light the twins followed. Eva looks like a beautiful woman with blonde hair that reaches her collarbone and dark brown eyes. Virgil, power-hungry idiot. Virgil is a young man with white slicked back hair and blue eyes, much like his father. Dante, pizza-addicted knucklehead. Dante shares Virgil's features, the only difference being hairstyles, as Dante lets his hair hang loose as to slicking it back. Mary and Arkham, a rocket launcher-wielding gun nut, who's also a loving wife and mother. Mary, otherwise known as Lady, is a young woman with black chin-length hair and heterochromatic eyes, a red left eye, and a bluish-green right eye. Nero and Kalina chuckled at the sight while Lysias stood there confused. By the way, Nero, where's Trish? Kalina asked. She's out doing a job for Morrison. Nero replied. Who are these people? Issei asked. Well, son, they are our kin, your great-grandparents Eva and Sparta, your grandparents Dante and Mary, and Virgil, your great-uncle. Kalina happily explained. They must be real badasses. Issei whispered to himself. Now, Issei, let's get you stabbed, Nero said with a chuckle. The trio made their way back inside the house to the fireplace. Near the fireplace were 2 swords and the remnants of the sword, the handle, hilt, and a splintered edge. The first sword had a single edge and a curve to it looking similar to a parenthesis. In the center of the upper half is a big bright red gem-like item. On the other side, there are 2 much smaller jewels that shine orange and pink with organic flesh-like features. The spine of the blade also has 3 sets of bone-like protrusions. A bigger set can be found on the middle with 2 smaller sets flanking its sides. The second sword is a katana that is in a black sheath with dark blue seijo wrapped loosely. It has a dark blue tsuba with a golden outline, white wrappings on the handle, and then a gold dragon ornament in between the wrapping and handle. Issei pulled the blade out and noted that it was more a piece of art rather than a weapon for killing. Are you sure about this, Nero? Issei asked hesitantly. It's a gamble, but the odds are definitely in your favor, Nero said. Issei agreed and took the Yamato and strapped it to his hip. He then took Sparta and placed it on his back, and finally he took the remains of rebellion and took a deep breath. Stab. Issei stumbled back a few steps in pain as he noticed the remains of rebellion start to glow in a crimson hue. Sparta and Yamato also began to glow, then slowly disappearing as if his body was sucking the 3 swords in. Ai screamed in pain. Galina could only watch in horror as his son struggled to move due to the pain being inflicted on him. Nero, on the other hand, stood there on guard in case anything happens to the boy. The screaming simmered down until Issei flashed a blinding red light. Once the light subsided, Kalina and Nero can only stare at the entity that can only be described as a being of absolute power. Issei's true devil form had two horns that appeared to be swept back, for draconic wings that glowed an incandescent orange with a Damascus pattern to it. The upper torso appears to glow, making it look like a power core of some sorts. His forearms had energy venting through, making it look like energy blades, reptilian-like feet, and tail. And think a combination of Dante and Virgil's Sin Devil trigger with more draconic features. Issei, after a few minutes, reverted to his human form and with very drastic changes. Standing at 6 feet tall, he now has wide chin-length hair with split bangs that slightly show off his forehead. His eyes change from brown to crimson, like his mother. Definitely has his mother's eyes, Nero spoke in amusement. I'll be damned, partner. You might be the strongest host I've had ever since Belzard. Drake spoke, making his presence known as a red gauntlet with a massive green gem and 2 yellow spikes materialized on Issei's arm. Wait, you have the boosted gear in you? Nero asked in shock. Yes, Drake appeared in my dream last night explaining everything about the supernatural. His answered. Breeding spawn of Virgil, I must say your father was quite the warrior. Drake said to Nero. Tell me about it. Bastard cut off my arm for power, Nero nonchalantly replied. How come you still have your arm intact? Issei asked. Long story short, I awakened my power and for some reason it grew my arm back. Nero answered as he deploys 2 angelic energy wings. Who all? Issei said in amazement. Damn right they are, Nero said with a smile. Issei, you better name that sword of yours, Cavaliere requested. How about Severance, since this the point where I leave my normal human life? Issei proudly stated as he materialized a sword out of thin air. The now named Severance is a double-edged sword that's a headshot of Issei's height when stabbed to the ground with a hilt decorated with 2 dragon skulls with red and green gems, filling the eye sockets, decorating both sides of the blade nearby the hilt. The hilt had 2 draconic claws to form a W shape. The handle is mostly metal with intricate engravings on it, and the center of the blade had a visible split, indicating that it was hiding something. Perfect, Kalina and Nero said in unison. Issei, try to get the sword in a scythe form. Kalina asked her son. Issei did as he's told and manifested Severance in its scythe form. Soul even scythe form. Amazing. His mother spoke softly. Before I forget, we need to go back to my place. I got something for you, Nero said excitedly. The trio made their way back to Nero's shop. Then Nero pulled a small case from his table and presented it to Issei. Issei then opened the case and saw 2 pistols, 1 silver and 1 black, and each had an engraving that said, Ebony and Ivory. Adds pistols, where did you get them? Kalina asked in shock. They're not the originals. I had Nico make them since it's only right that the granddaughter of the original creator made something similar. Being a Nico special, it's bound to do something cool, Nero said proudly. Now, Issei, you need to train in your demonic powers and sacred gear. I got just the thing for that, Nero said as he pulled out a silver pocket watch laced with demonic energy. It's a pocket watch that can create a separate dimension where time passes slower. It's similar to my Devil Breaker ragtime, but stronger. A day here is a month in this bad boy, Nero explained. Alright, let's get to it, Issei said with determination in his eyes. Issei spent 3 months in the separate dimension or 3 days in real time. During this, he learned how to suppress his aura to a degree that only leader-class beings can sense who and what he truly is. He mastered his grandfather's combat styles, Sword Master, Trickster, Gunslinger, Royal Guard, and Quicksilver style. He also learned all of Virgil's signature moves, mainly being Judgment Cut. Judgment Cut, and then Summon Swords, Issei mastered using the scythe due to his mother teaching everything she knew in scythe combat. He also attained Balance Breaker on his first week of training, now being able to maintain it for an unlimited amount of time. Issei also attained Juggernaut Drive and doesn't cost his life force, instead substituting his vast pool of magic energy. Abaying onto Issei's draconic side, Issei has unlocked his dragon form. His dragon form is a 30-meter-long dragon with black scales with a shade red on some parts, slit golden eyes, 2 horns that glow an incandescent orange, the same 4 wings on his true devil form only larger, and a barbed tail. Think of Eugen, the spirit dragon from magic. The gathering, but with the description given p. Thank you, Nero, for helping and training my son, Kalina. Don't think much of it, it's the least I can do for the both of you, Nero said with his signature smirk. This makes us even now. If you ever need anything, just call for us. Kalina spoke as she prepared a teleportation circle. Hey, Issei. Nero called for the boy as he reached in his pocket for a piece of paper. Yeah? He replied. Ever since Dante died, his devil arms also went missing. Here's a list of their last known locations. I'm sure they'll be glad to be wielded by their old master's grandson, Nero said as he handed Issei the list. Issei looks at the list and saw powerful-looking devil arms. An eye and Rudra, twin swords that take the form of a wide scimitar with a serrated edge with one head on the end of the handles being an eye and Rudra themselves. The orange blade exuded a fiery aura to it, and the turquoise blade exuded an icy aura. Last seen with Enzo Ferrino. Niven is a purple, one-neck guitar with many electric strings and some skeletal-looking features. It hides or cloaks a three-pronged scythe underneath, which is basically folded into it. Issei assumed this one had electrical properties to it. Last seen. Manila, Philippines. The Valiere, a pair of two massive buzz saws that combine into a motorcycle with demonic pieces of armor. Issei whistled at the thought of him riding the motorcycle to school. Last seen. Kwatown, Japan. Balrog, a set of gauntlets, greaves, and pauldrons that contain the power of the King of Fire Hell, Balrog. Last seen. Berlin, Germany. King Cerberus, a three-pronged nunchaku that can shape-shift into two other forms, bow staff and a three-section staff. Last seen. The Himalayas. I'll definitely look for them, plus Cavaliere is nearby where I live. Thanks, Nero, Issei said as he and his mother began to fade in the teleportation circle. Hi-do residents. Issei and Kalina arrived home to see it relatively normal. Helena, on the other hand, noticed that their landline had 12 missed calls from Qua Academy. What am I supposed to say to the school now? Kalina thought to herself. Just say that something really traumatizing happened to me. It's half true since Nero training and Drake's training in my dreamscape aren't far from what I said. Issei spoke. Sounds good. Wait, how did you know I was thinking of that? Kalina asked in confusion. Your face says it all and my draconic senses also help. Issei replied with a big smile. Just take a shower and come back down. You're still attending school tomorrow since it's a Friday. I'm gonna make dinner now. His mother replied. Issei did as he was told and went back down to eat dinner in an awkward silence, and immediately made his way up his room to sleep. Streets of Qua. Issei is seen walking towards his school and overheard comments from boys and girls alike. He's so hot, is he a transfer student? One girl said. Oh no, not another prince. A male student said in disappointment. I want to ask him out. Another girl squealed as her friends nodded in agreement. Issei looked like a treat for the girls in Qua Academy would be the understatement of the century. Looks like you're attracting a lot of potential mates, partner. Drake mentally spoke to his host. No shit, Sherlock, you did mention dragons having multiple mates, right? Issei mentally replied to the dragon. Yes, I assume you'd want a harem for yourself since it's most of the thoughts I see and hear before your transformation. The dragon replied, yeah, I may have changed physically, but my dream is still there. Issei replied. Sirzechs definitely rubbed off on you, Drake said with a chuckle as Issei cut off the link. Issei then made his way to his classroom, and the moment he entered all eyes were on him. Who is he? One of the students pondered. Great, as if the school needed another Prince Charming. A male student sarcastically said, be so handsome. A girl nearly fainting said, another prince, no, a king is here. Another girl said, excuse me, but are you a transfer student? The teacher asked as she was about to begin homeroom. No, I'm a returning student. I've only been absent for 3 days, sensei. Issei replied. Could you be Hyoudou-kun? The teacher said in complete shock. Yes, and I can explain myself later during homeroom, sensei. Issei humbly said with a small bow. The entire class shouted in unison at this absurd revelation. Homeroom began and the teacher did as Issei suggested. Hyoudou-kun, Would mind explaining to us what happened during your sudden disappearance and change in appearance? The teacher asked. Well, sensei, I just found out how my father truly died, with details I won't share, and when I found out the truth, I contracted Marie Antoinette syndrome, causing my hair to turn white. It took me a few days to recover, but here I am better as I can be, Issei explained with a smile as he made the story up in the moment. I'm truly sorry for asking that, Haida-san. The teacher apologized with a bow. It's alright, sensei, and if anyone is wondering, please ask your questions now, Issei said to all his classmates. Immediately hands began to shoot up, majority being girls and 2 lonely hands belonging to the now named perverted duo. Are you single? A girl asked. Yes, but I'm not looking to date anyone right now, Issei answered as he completely forgot about his date with the fallen angel. Where have you been all this time? Matsuda and Motohama asked in unison. I was just at home trying to recover from the shock, from finding out the truth, Issei answered with a solemn expression. That's quite enough, everyone. Give Hadouken the space he needs. We're starting class now, the teacher announced to the class. Class went on to finish until lunch break. Excuse me, is Hyoudou Issei-kun here? A mysterious voice asked. Aya. It's Kibasama. The girls in class squealed in unison. Kibuyuto is a handsome teenager with an average build, blonde hair, and bluish-gray eyes with a mole underneath the left eye. Yes, that would be me, Issei said as he raised his hand to grab Kiba's attention. Hideout-kun. My name is Kibuyuto. A pleasure to meet you. Kiba introduced himself as he reached out his hand to Issei. Issei Hideout, a pleasure to meet you as well. And what does the Prince of Core Academy want with me? Issei said with a smile as he reciprocated the handshake. Our club president at the Occult Research Club would like to invite you for lunch in our club room, Kiba said. Very well, lead the way, Issei replied as he grabbed his lunch box. I sense Devil's partner, high class at that, be careful, Drake said in Issei's mind. Yeah, I know. I'm a devil myself, I just want to make some friends, replied. Alright then. You're plenty strong enough to take care of yourself, and with that, I'm off to sleep again. Drake Deadpantas went to sleep. The walk to the Orc building was spent in silence, but they soon arrive. Issei and Kiba arrive in front of the main room of the Orc. Knock knock. Enter, a feminine voice said. Kiba opened the door with Issei behind him. Hello, but I brought him, Kiba said as he presented Issei to the rest of the Orc. Issei saw 3 beautiful girls. Who caught his attention the most was a girl with crimson hair that reaches her thighs, messy bangs, blue eyes, had a buxom figure, and a bountiful chest. Next was a girl that stood behind the Redid. She had a voluptuous figure and a bigger rack than Redid, raven black hair that was extremely long that was kept in a ponytail with a ribbon and purple eyes. Last was a petite girl with white hair, and 2 long bangs that reached past her shoulders and loose bangs over her forehead. She had golden eyes and a cat ornament stuck to her hair. Welcome, Hyoudou, come to the Occult Research Club, the Redid said. My name is Rias Gremery. It's a pleasure to finally meet you. Rias introduced herself. Issei Hyoudou, a pleasure to meet you, Rias senpai, Issei said, holding back a massive blush. Aikino Himajima, I hope you treat me well, you fufufu. Aikino introduced herself with a smile. Kaneko Tuju sup? Kaneko said in a monotone voice and neutral expression. Pleasure to meet all of you, Issei gracefully spoke. Please take a seat, Rias said joyfully. Issei did as he's told and brought out his very large lunch box. Kun, I believe you that you know about the supernatural, Rias questioned. Yes, I do, and I know that you guys are devils and more, Issei said as he ate his lunch. Very well, that leaves me with but one question. Would you like to join my peerage? Rias asked. It would be an honor, Rias senpai, but I have to decline. How come? Rias said with a slight frown. I have my reasons, but I'd be more than happy to help you out if you need it, Issei said as Rias' face brightened up when she heard it. He's not normal, Kaneko chimed in, causing Issei to slightly twitch. Can you tell us what you are? Rias pried. Yes. But what I show stays in this room, and take it as a sign of my trust to all of you, Issei said in a serious tone. Very well, Hyoudou-kun, Rias said. Issei decided to let some of his aura out, and unfurled his 4 devil dragon wings and materialized his sword. Everyone in the room stared at Issei in both shock and amazement. Beautiful, the 3 girls said in unison as their faces glowed with a blush. And powerful, Kaneko chimed in again. What are you, Hyoudou-kun? Rias asked, breaking the silence. Well, I'm a son of a pure dragon and a half-breed devil, Issei nonchalantly replied. That doesn't explain your appearance and 4 wings. Why do they glow and they look very far from regular dragon wings? Rias asked in confusion. Ever heard of Sparta? As Issei said the name of his great-grandfather, all the devils gave Issei a disturbed look. And what of him? Rias proceeded to ask. He's my great-grandfather and my grandfather is the legendary devil hunter Dante, Issei said. Sparta, the legendary Dark Knight who single-handedly defeated an entire demon army and its leader, the Prince of Darkness, Mundus. The very same devil that sealed the underworld from the human world. Rias asked in absolute shock. The one and only, Issei said. All the devils just stood in silence as they tried to absorb the absolute bombshell of a revelation into their minds. Now that's cleared off, I want you guys to drop the formalities. Just call me Issei or Ice, whichever you prefer. I'm not one for formalities, Issei said with a smile, breaking the silence. Issei-kun, what's with that sword of yours? It doesn't feel like a regular demonic sword, Kiba asked with a hint of excitement in his voice. This here is Severance, my very own sword. It was made when I absorbed the 3 demon swords of Sparta, Issei explained. Can I give it a swing? Kiba asked with stars in his eyes. Sure, go for it, Issei said as he handed Severance over to Kiba. Kiba tried to lift the sword but was unable to. Aniko-chan, mind giving me a hand? Kiba said as he struggled to lift the blade. Aniko walked over to the struggling Kiba and tried to lift the sword with Kiba, but to everyone's surprise, not even the combined strength of Kiba and Kaneko could lift Severance. Issei-kun, how can you even lift this sword with one hand? Kiba wondered as Issei walked over to the pair and take his blade. To put it bluntly, my first cousin explained to me that it only responds to me, Issei said. You have a cousin? The members of the orc asked in unison. Yes. He's Nero, Virgil's son, Issei casually said. Virgil. The Dark Slayer rears again in shock as she finds out more about Issei and his lineage. RR. To think the Issei-kun has powerful relatives. Akino chimed in while holding her cheek. Amazing, Kaneko said with a little bit of emotion. Issei dematerializes Severance in a spectacle of crimson magic particles as he retracted his wings and sat back down on one of the 2 couches in the clubroom. Would that be all? Issei asked as he finished his lunch and prepares to take his leave. One more thing, Issei. Rias chimed in. I'm listening, Issei replied. How would you like to become a member of the orc? We'd like to start a friendly relation with you as well as keep tabs on you, since Sony and I watch over Qua. Rias said politely. All right. I'll be in your care, Issei said with a smile. See you after class, Issei, Rias said as she waved goodbye to Issei's classroom. As Issei walked into his classroom, he was immediately bombarded with questions. Issei, why did the orc invite you over to their club? Matsuda quickly asked. They made me a member, Issei shrugged. How? Do you have any idea how exclusive that club is? It's harder to get in there than it is to be in the student council. Motohama chimed in. Exactly. You have the 2 great one-samas and mascot of the school there just for you to stare at, Mitsuda said with a passion. How I got in there is none of your business. If you'll excuse me, I need to get to my seat, Issei said in a cold tone, causing his 2 friends to comply. Class proceeded accordingly until the school's intercom announced something. Issei, hi dude. Please proceed to the student council office immediately. Issei was then excused by his teacher and walked to the student council office. Issei approached the door, then knocked. Enter, a feminine voice rang behind the door. Issei opened the door and was presented with a bespectacled young woman with a slim figure, black hair styled in a short bob cut, and violet eyes. She was the student council president, Sona Shirtorai or Citri in the devil world. I was told to come here. What seems to be the problem, Shirtorai Keiko? Issei asked. Haida-san, you've been absent for 3 days, may I know why? Sona said. Let's just say that it was family business. Issei replied. I see. Then care to explain the change in your appearance? You do know that dyeing your hair is strictly prohibited in school, Sona sternly said. Let's cut the crap and go to what you really want to know, Miss Sona Citri, Issei said. Sona's eyes went wide as to how Issei knew of her real identity. She fixed her glasses and decided to roll with it. I see. So you know about the supernatural, Haida-san? Sona asked. Yes, I just learned of it recently. Issei politely replied. Who told you about the supernatural? Pray tell. Sona, curious at the fact. My mother. Turns out I wasn't human after all. She told me everything from angels, fallen angels, devils, gods, and more. What Issei told was half true. He had to hide the fact that he was also this generation's Red Dragon Emperor. Dreg told him the general gist of the supernatural. Then his mother told him everything while he trained with Nero and Dreg. I see. Then would you mind telling me why the sudden change in appearance? Sona asked. Well, when I say family business, it meant that everything that I am was revealed. Turns out I'm not fully human. Issei said nonchalantly. Can you tell me about your heritage? Sona pried. I already told Rias. I might as well tell you. Issei said as he proceeds to unfurl his 4 wings and materializes his sword. Pretty, Sona said wide-eyed. Seriously? Again? Issei thought to himself. First of all, I'm a descendant of the legendary Dark Knight Sparta. My grandfather Issei was cut off. Sparta? You mean to tell me that you're a descendant of the devil that slew an entire army and the Dark Prince, Mundus? Sona said, losing her composure. She had only heard of Sparta from legends and read about him in books. She thought that his bloodline would stop from his twin sons, yet here is Issei, checking most of the boxes to be a descendant of Sparta. Yes, he's my great-grandfather, his youngest son Dante being my grandfather, and I'm half-dragon, Issei explained. Sona, ready to faint, managed to compose herself. I see. Well, why do you humor me with one last question? Are you here on friendly terms with us? Sona sternly asked. Yes. I'm planning to have a massive debut in the supernatural world and side with the devils. Sona sighed in relief when she heard that Issei wants to be on good terms with the devils. All right then, you're free to go, Sona said with a small smile and a fading blush. He's attractive. I need to make a move soon since he already met Rias. I'll be taking my leave then. Please consider what I told you a sign of my trust. Until then, take care, Sono Kaichu. Issei said as he waved goodbye and left the room. Another bespectacled woman entered the room. She had long black hair that reaches to her knees, heterochromatic eyes with a violet left eye, and a light brown right eye and a voluptuous figure. Eichu, who was that? The girl asked. Well, Tsubaki, he's a being we need to be very cautious of, Sona said with a hint of fear. End of classes. Issei stood up from his seat, making his way to the orc. He entered and saw that all the members are there seemingly waiting for his arrival. They could see to say, we have much to talk about, Riot said with a smile. All right, shoot, Issei said. I haven't officially introduced my peerage to you, so I thought that this would be the perfect opportunity, Rias said. An Echo is my rook. She has immense defense and hits really hard. Kiba is my knight, and he specializes in speed. Akino here is my queen. She shares all the traits of the rook, knight, and bishop pieces, making her a jack of all trades, Rias explained proudly. I see. I know about the peerage system from my mother, but I didn't think they'd have special nuances like this. But I sense another presence. Where is it? Issei replied with curiosity. Well, he's a special case. You'll have to find out in the future, Rias said with a hint of sadness. Guys, are you planning on joining sides with any of the biblical factions? Rias asked, dropping the bomb on Issei. Yes, I'll be siding with the devils. I want to embrace what I am now, Issei said with passion in his voice. Rias smiled at this statement as she thought that her chances of being with Issei were slowly rising. Your mother seems to know a lot about the supernatural. Can you tell us why? Rias chimed in. I honestly don't know. While I was training, she would start lecturing me about the supernatural. I just listened, not questioning her sources. Issei said in a neutral voice. So, you know about most of the supernatural world? Rias asked. Pretty much, yeah, Issei shrugged. Issei-sensei, I have to tell you something. Kaneko suddenly spoke. What is it, Kaneko-chan? Issei asked. Do you remember the girl that asked you out on a date? She's a fallen angel. I see. Thank you for informing me, Kaneko-chan. Issei smiled as he patted Kaneko's head, earning a purr from the girl. I completely forgot about that, Issei thought to himself. Good thing the girl kept an eye on you. Drake spoke, surprising Issei. That's a plus, I guess. Issei said to his dragon. Ice, here, take this. Rias said as he gave Issei a piece of paper with a Gremry magic circle on it. Thanks. What's this for? Issei asked. It's when you need help. It'll notify me when you activate it. It will summon us to you. Rias explained with a smile. Alright then, I'll be taking my leave. See you all next Monday, Issei said as he left for his home. I do residence. I'm home, Issei announced as his mother came to greet him. Welcome back, dear. How was school? Kalina said with a smile. I made a few devil friends, 2 of them being high-class devils. Issei said. I see. What's your plan now? His mother wondered. Well, I want to have a big-ass debut to the supernatural world and make contact with the fallen angels. Why would you want to make contact with the fallen? Kalina asked. Because, dear mother, I'm going on a date with one of them. Issei said, well, if you were still human, I'd be worried sick, but since you've unlocked your powers, I have nothing to worry about. Kalina said proudly as she started patting her son's head. Is dinner ready yet? I'm starving, Issei said with a hearty laugh. Of course, you being a dragon means a massive appetite, fffu. Kalina chuckled. Issei and his mother ate dinner in comfortable silence as Issei finished his meal. He took a shower and went to bed immediately. Sunday, nearby a convenience store. The day's the day, Issei asked the dragon in him. Issei was wearing a red zip-up hoodie with a white inner shirt, black jeans, and white sneakers with red accents. Yes, it is, partner. I look forward to how this date proceeds, Drake said in amusement. Issei spots Yuma approaching him slowly. When she does, she starts to look around in confusion. Yuma was wearing a black knee-length dress with a lavender short blouse over it, showing a fair bit of cleavage, black heels, and a pink handbag. Looking for me? Issei said with smirk. Issei-kun, is that you? Yuma said in shock. Yes, it's me. Shall we go? Issei suggested. The date began with the couple going to the clothing store and picked out numerous pieces of clothing. Issei took a liking to a black shirt with a skull getting pierced by a star on its left eye socket. He bought Yuma a pink scrunchie, and she happily wrapped it around her wrist. The couple then went to a cafe where they ate and chatted about various topics, learning about their interests and wedding it. The date was nearing its conclusion as it was sundown. The couple made their way to the park and walked towards a fountain. Issei-kun, can I ask you something? Yuma spoke. Sure, Issei said. Would you die for me? Yuma said. Could you repeat that? I didn't hear you right, Issei said with an awkward smile. Yuma walked up to Issei near his ear and repeated what she said. Would you die for me? Uma's voice suddenly changed its tone to a more mature version of her voice. Uma glowed purple and her outfit suddenly changed into a leather dominatrix yufa that barely covered her nipples and womanhood while deploying U2 jet black wings. Uma materialized a pinkish-red light spear out of nowhere and stabbed Issei. Stab. Uma expected Issei to die immediately, but she felt something grab her wrist. PSK, Yuma-chan, you can't just kill your boyfriend after going on a date with him. Issei mockingly. How dare you? Yuma asked in fury. Yuma created a multitude of light spears trying to hit Issei, but Issei dodged them all with ease. Issei then punched Yuma on the gut, and she immediately lost consciousness. Issei carried Yuma's unconscious body and sat it up at one of the benches. An hour went by and Yuma stirred awake. Yo, Yuma-chan, Issei said as he looked at the fallen angel. What did you do to me? Yuma demanded. Nothing. I just knocked you unconscious. Yuma materialized a light spear but was immediately shut down as Issei flared his aura. What are you? Yuma said in a voice full of fear. Yuma was towered over by Issei, his crimson eyes glowing. In the fallen's eyes, she was staring at the incarnation of death itself. I'm someone who you don't want to piss off, Issei said with a mix of his demonic voice. Tell me, Yuma-chan, who are you really? Issei asked in a demanding tone. My real name is Rainer, and I work for the Grigori. Yuma said, shaking as she had no choice or thought she'd die if she said the wrong thing. Who's your leader? Issei pressed on. Our leader is Azazel-sama, he's also my father. Rainer answered again in fear. That was easy, Issei thought to himself. Now, Rainer, I want you to bring me to him. Issei said, now softening his tone. Say as you wish. Rainer replied in fear again. Rainer led Issei to a 5-story apartment and walked over to one of the rooms and opened the door to reveal a normal-looking interior with a lot of game consoles nearby. The TV said, Someone's here to see you. Rainer said with her tone returning to normal. Oh, and who might that be? A voice asked as a figure got out of the bathroom. Who emerged from the bathroom was a tall man with an average build, black hair, golden bangs and a black goatee wearing a gray kimono along with a gray haori. Issei, hi, do the boy you asked me to monitor, Rainer formally said. Wait, he told you to monitor me? Why the hell did you try to kill me? Issei asked in an agitated tone. Rainer stood in silence. Partner, be on guard, you're with the leader of the fallen angels. Drake chimed in. I know, Issei replied warily. Apologies for what my daughter did to you. As for introductions, I'm Azazel, leader of the fallen angels. Azazel said while putting his chin between his index finger and thumb. Issei, hi to you. Pleasure to meet you, Azazel-san. Issei said with a smile. What brings you here, Issei? Azazel asked as he reached for 2 glasses and a bottle of whiskey and gestured Issei to sit at one of the couches. I recently found out that the supernatural was real and here I am trying to make a few friends. Issei said, want a drink? Azazel as he pointed towards the bottle of whiskey. No alcohol, please, water will do, Issei said politely. Have you associated yourself with any of the 3 biblical factions? Azazel asked as he poured himself a drink and gave Issei a glass of water. I'm planning on joining the devil since I'm a devil myself, and I'm pretty sure you know what I am since only beings of your caliber can sense me, Issei said. I do, and I'm curious how strong you really are. I know you're not just a devil. I also sense dragon in you, but your devil side is something I never thought I'd see again. Azazel said skeptically. Tell me, kid, are you a descendant of Sparta? Azazel finally dropped the bomb. Rainer overheard the conversation and immediately began to rethink her decisions in trying to kill the boy. Yes, he's my great-grandfather. His son Dante is my grandfather. Issei, Kami said. I see. I thought his bloodline vanished ever since his 2 sons fought themselves to death. Azazel shrugged. It's a sibling thing, Issei said with a chuckle. One more question, kid. Are you the Red Dragon Emperor? Azazel dropped an even bigger bomb. Azazel's apartment. You're as smart as I've heard. Issei smirked as Azazel immediately figured out who he is. Living for 1,000 of years has its perks, and that aura of yours is unmistakably laced with the Welsh dragon's signature aura of domination. Azazel said while holding his chin. I'm guessing you have your daughter doing something else apart from monitoring me. Issei said amused. He's good. I'll give him that. Azazel thought to himself. Yeah. I ordered her to keep an eye on one of my cadres along with her team. You need help with that? I could use some work and someone to fight. Issei said with a grin. I don't at the moment, but I will try to reach you when the need for it arises. You seem up for the job anyway, Azazel replied. All right then. Issei said in a neutral tone. Is that all for your visit here? I have video games we could play up for a few rounds of Tekken, Azazel added. Sure. Dibs on Akuma. Issei said amused. Issei and Azazel grabbed 2 fight sticks and duked it out in Tekken for 3 hours with Issei winning 20 matches and Azazel winning 10. Issei completely forgetting that his mother was expecting him to come home earlier. Great match, old man, Issei said as his cocky demeanor began to show up. They're pretty good, kid. I won't lose next time. Azazel said, we'll see about that. Oh, and keep the whole Red Dragon Emperor thing a secret. For now, I'll be off then, Issei said as he gave his contact info to Azazel and left. So, Rainer, how's Cocohead? Azazel asked his daughter. He's got a nun from Italy coming here tomorrow. Rainer spoke. I'm assuming it's the nun with twilight healing. Right. Azazel wondered. Yep. It's her, and I have a bad feeling about it, Rainer said in a worried tone. Hi, do residents. Where have you been all this time? Helena scolded her son as he arrived late at night. Relax, I finished my date with no problems at all, Issei said as his left hand slightly twitched. Selena, seeing this, knew right away that her son was lying. Really? I know that's not everything, Kalina said sternly while glaring at Issei. Pine, you got me. I got the fallen angel to bring me to her leader, and surprise, surprise, she's his daughter, Issei said in defeat. Let me get this straight. You went on a date with a fallen angel, then you got her to bring you to her leader, father? Kalina said while trying to compose herself. Pretty much. Azazel was pretty chill. We played some Tekken, and I offered him my help if he ever needs it. Issei shrugged. You're definitely gonna end up like your grandfather. He takes on the most bizarre jobs while being casual about it most of the time, Kalina said in annoyance. Runs in the family, Issei shrugged. You bet your ass it does, Kalina said with a chuckle. Anyway, it's late. Do we have any leftovers? Issei asked. Yeah, you'll find some on the table, Kalina said, returning to her normal mood. Issei ate dinner, took a shower, and finally went to bed after a very interesting day. Hey, Drake, Issei called for his dragon. Yes, partner. Drake's voice now heard in Issei's room. Do you think it was a smart thing to do to reveal myself to Azazel? Issei pondered. Yes, I do think so. Azazel seems to favor peace more than conflict. At least that's what my memory serves me, and making a connection with him will earn you some favors. Drake replied to his host. I see. With that, I'll go to sleep. Good night, Drake, Issei said. Good night, partner, Drake said as he too dozed off to sleep. Next day, Issei was walking to school until he came across the park he always passes by in his school walks. He saw a nun carrying a suitcase with blonde hair outfit and approached the girl. Excuse me, are you lost? Issei asked the nun. I'm sorry, the nun replied in Italian. She's Italian. The good thing about being a devil is knowing all languages. Issei thought to himself. I asked if you were lost? Issei replied with a smile. Why, yes, I am. I'm looking for the nearest church here, the nun replied. I see. I can take you to your destination. I know this area quite well, Issei sheepishly spoke. Thank you very much. I don't know much Japanese. God must have sent you my way as a sign of his goodwill, the nun said as she clasped both her hands together. May I know your name? I'm Issei Hyoudou, Issei said politely. Where are my manners? My name is Asia Argento. A pleasure to meet you, Issei-san. Asia introduced herself. Come on now. I'll bring you to the church, Issei said as he gestured Asia to follow him. Issei and Asia walked along the park's path until the pair noticed a boy who's on one knee and seems to be in pain while holding his other knee. Asia walked towards the boy with Issei right behind her as the nun hovered her hands on the boy's knee. A green light glowed, and in what seemed like an instant, the wounds slowly faded away. She has a healing-type sacred gear, partner. Drake garnered the attention of his host. Yeah, seems like she's got powerful one at that, Issei replied to the dragon inside of him. Thank you, miss, the boy happily said to Asia. Oh, better now keep this a secret, okay? Asia said to the boy as the boy nodded in agreement. Was that your sacred gear? Issei asked the nun. Yes, I believed it to be a wonderful gift given to me by our Lord, Asia stated happily. I see. Oh, look, we're almost at the church, Issei reminded the nun. The pair made it to the church and Issei was immediately on guard. Issei felt the presence of a group of fallen angels. Asia knocked on the door, and was met by Rainer and her group. Issei? What the hell are you doing here? Rainer asked in shock. I met Asia here while I was walking to school, Issei said in a serious tone. Issei-san, why don't stay for tea? I'll be making some right now, Asia said happily. I'll have to pass for now, Asia-chan. I'm running late for school, Issei said hesitantly. That's too bad. I'll be seeing you soon then, Issei-san. I will see her, right? Issei said to Rainer in a serious tone as he left for school. Rainer, who was that boy? Kalawana asked. Kalawana is a tall and buxom woman with brown eyes and long, navy blue hair that obscured her right eye. She wore a maroon trench coat-like top with a wide collar that showed a lot of cleavage, a matching mini skirt, and black heels. That kid felt like nothing. I couldn't sense him at all, Dunsik added. Dunsik is a middle-aged-looking man with short black hair and dark blue eyes. He wore a gray trench coat over a white dress shirt with a matching ascot, black pants and shoes, a pair of black gloves and a black fedora. Easy pickings if you asked me, Middle said confidently. Middle is a girl with a petite stature, blonde hair styled into twin tails and blue eyes. Her outfit consisted of a gothic Lolita attire, which consisted of a black dress with white frills, white thigh-high socks, black shoes, and large bow on top of her head. Someone who we don't want to be on the wrong side of, Rainer answered cryptically. Gua Academy. Issei made it to his class 10 minutes late. As he opened the door to enter, his classmates stared directly at him. His female classmates immediately swooned over his sudden appearance. I thought the king wouldn't make it to class, a girl said. He looks as handsome as ever. Another girl said. The teacher, noticing this, reprimanded everyone for starting a commotion. Hi, Doucette, could please explain why you're late? The teacher asked. I ran into a foreigner who happens to be a nun and guided her to the church since she was looking for it, Issei explained. I see, it's good that you're helping out others, but it will not excuse you for being late, the teacher said sternly. Understood, sensei, Issei said as he sat down on his seat. Class went on and was boring as ever. Issei was caught napping and was forced to answer a complex math problem, but to everyone's surprise, Issei, the once perverted beast, answered it with no trouble at all. Or clue broom. Issei knocked on the door for the main room of the orc. Enter. Ria's voice was heard behind the door. Good afternoon, everybody, Issei greeted the members. Sup, yo Issei-kun. Issei-kun yufufu. The members of the orc said as they greeted Issei. Bara, Ice, what brings you here? Rias asked. Do you mind if I spend the rest of lunch break here? I want to avoid some attention from my class, Issei sheepishly said. Sure you can. Gosh, I forgot that we made you an official member of the club, Rias replied with an awkward smile. Issei sat down on one of the couches and pulled out his large triple-stacked lunch box. The members stared in awe at the size of Issei's lunch. Something wrong? Issei asked as he began eating his food. Nothing. We're just surprised at the amount of food you brought. It could feed all of us in here, Rias replied with a chuckle. I don't mind sharing. Most of this is just extra if I'm feeling really hungry. Dragon's appetite, you know? Issei said. Kaneko stared aimlessly at Issei's lunchbox as she spotted a bar of chocolate. Issei, noticing this, decided to ask the girl, You want some? Issei asked as he reached out the bar of chocolate towards Kaneko. Yes. Kaneko replied in a neutral tone as she began eating the chocolate bar. Issei finished eating his lunch and immediately reported to Rias. Ria de Issei was cut off by Rias. Ice, since you're now a member of the orc, I want you to call me, but you repress whichever you prefer. Fine. But you, I have something to report. This concerns your territory, Issei suddenly said in a serious tone. All right. What is it, Ice? Rias asked with concern. The group of fallen angels has gathered at the old church, Issei said. I had a feeling that they'd be here. I didn't think it would be this early. Rias sighed. They also have a nun with a sacred gear with them. I came across her on my way to school earlier, Issei added. Ria's eyes went wide as she heard of the news from Issei. I see. Thank you, Eyes. Ria said with audible worry. Not a problem, I'll be off then, and thank you for letting me stay in the club room, Issei said as he stood up. You're more than welcome to come here anytime since you're a member already. Club activities will exempt you in some of your classes, Rias explained. I see. Thanks again, Ria Bucho, Issei said as he left the room. Skip to the end of classes. Issei is packing up his things until he remembered about the list of devil's arms Nero had given him. Should I start looking for them, Dreg? Issei asked the dragon. I think starting off with Cavaliere should be smart since it's in your area, the dragon replied. Issei agreed and went home to tell his mother about his task of retrieving Cavaliere. Hi, dear residents. I'm home, Issei announced. Welcome back, dear, Kalina said as she greeted her son. Hey, Mom, do you mind if I go outside for a bit? I want to get Cavaliere, Issei asked his mother. Helena sighed. Alright, but be careful. You may be strong, but you never know who you'll encounter, she warned her son. I will see you in a bit, Issei said as he left. Streets of Kwa. It was night time as Issei wandered throughout looking for a sign to find his first devil arm. Issei, sensing that something was off in one of the houses, decided to go there. Issei was startled when he heard screaming from the house and brought out ebony and ivory. He composed himself as he approached the open door of the house. Once he entered, he was immediately hit with the smell of blood and a freshly killed body. He followed the trail and was led to the living room of the house, where he saw a dead man's body and a white-haired figure dressed in priest clothing and an overcoat, who was pinning Asia against the wall. Issei increasingly became pissed at the sight. The innocent Asia was about to be violated by this brain-damaged priest. What the hell are you doing to her? Issei said in fury, making his presence known. Issei sent Asia shocked to see the boy who helped her get to her destination. Shut up, witch, who the hell are you? The figure asked in a maniacal tone. Someone who you don't need to know, Issei said in a voice laced with venom. Fried Selzen, at your service, and probably the last thing you're gonna see and meet, Fried said still in his maniacal tone as he pulled out a light sword. Fried instantly charged at Issei with his light sword and swung his sword overhead. Issei easily dodged the attack and pulled out Severance and blocked Fried's follow-up attack. Issei then pushed the priest back and pulled out ebony and ivory and began to shoot the priest with non-lethal magic bullets. You're strong, I'll give you that, but I need to go and kill you some other day, Fried said as he grabbed Asia and began to teleport away. Issei-san, I'll see you again, Asia says with a teary smile as she faded away. Issei bellowed in despair. Partner, get a hold of yourself, Drake screamed into Issei, who slowly composed himself. Thank you, Drake, I needed that. Issei thanked the dragon. You're welcome, and I sense Cavaliere nearby. Go to the abandoned warehouse, Drake informed his partner. Alright, let's go. I swear I'll get you back, Asia said to himself with determination. Abandoned warehouse. Issei was approaching the abandoned warehouse and felt 6 energy signatures, for being the orc members, one of them being Cavaliere and the last one was an unknown. But what are you guys doing here? Issei asked. Oh, Ice, we just received a request to take care of a stray devil. Stray devil? Issei said, confused. They're essentially devils who went against their master's wishes or ultimately kill them, Rias explained. I see, want me to give you a hand? I'm in a rush looking for something and it led me here. I see, he said. That would be wonderful, Rias said with a smile. The Saint materialized Severance and prepared to fight. They entered the warehouse and was greeted by a devil that was enormous in size with a human upper body and a feline-like lower body. Stray devil, Visor, in the name of the Duke, Gremory, we shall eliminate you, Rias announced. Insolent fools, I will take your lives here and now, Visor said in her demonic voice as she transformed her body even further. The stray now had a more muscular version of its upper body, a lower body that seems to have grown an exoskeleton and a spotted tail. I'll bathe you all in blood as red as your master's hair, the devil cackled. Hey, ugly, Issei shouted. You dare interrupt me, boy. The stray scowled as it charged at Issei. Issei pulled out ebony and ivory as opposed to using Severance, charged the twin pistols with demonic energy. His arms glowed a crimson light as the Sparta magic circle surrounded the pistols. Issei fired 4 shots at each of the stray's limb, obliterating every single one in an instant. Wow! The orcs said in unison. It could have been the perfect pawn for me. He's strong in all aspects of combat if he can wield the sword better than Kiba, maybe even a knight. Rias thought to herself. But you do the honors, please. Issei gestured for Rias to finish off the stray. Rias walked up to the stray and charged up a wave of the power of destruction. Stray devil, visor, any last words? Rias said with pride. Die. The stray said as it lunged at Rias for a last-ditch attempt to kill her. Issei quickly got in front of Rias and deflected the stray's attack with severance. Right. Now you can finish her, Issei said amused. Rias did as she's told and blasted the devil away with a wave of the power of destruction. Ice, you said you were looking for something in here? Rias queried. Yes, I'm looking for one of my grandfather's devil arms, Issei said. Devil arms? Rias asked in curiosity. They're weapons my grandfather found throughout his life. They were once devils too, but he fought them all, and they manifested into weapons that had its own unique design and fighting style. The one I'm looking for is Cavaliere, Issei explained. I see. What does it look like? Rias asked. It has 2 forms, a twin buzzsaw form, and my favorite, its motorcycle form, Issei said proudly. All right. Since we're here, we'll help you look for it, Rias insisted. Thanks a bunch. This place is huge. You guys will cut time looking forward, Issei said sheepishly. Issei along with the orc looked for Cavaliere around the warehouse until Akino stumbled on a very weird-looking set of handlebars. Issei-kun, I think this is a piece of the weapon you're looking for. Akino called for Issei. Let me see. Issei asked for the handlebars. Issei inspected the handlebars and felt a slight jolt of demonic energy with a hint of electricity. Akino-san, can you shoot this thing with lightning? I felt that you specialize in lightning magic. Very well, Issei-kun. Akino complied. Akino shot the handlebars with her lightning magic. The handlebars then floated in the air, and metallic clanging can be heard around the warehouse. Pieces of metal, big and small, gathered around the general area of the handlebars and glowed to bright purple as the light faded away. A black motorcycle with demonic metal armor, front fairings that resemble a certain demon, batwing-like extensions on the sides, and double-sided serrated blades that extend from the point where the front fork meets the wheel. Sweet, Issei said amused as he got on Cavaliere. The moment Issei got on the motorcycle, it immediately started its engine and changed its colors. It's now red with a green gradient on the fairings tips. Issei jumped off the motorcycle and split it, turning to its twin buzzsaw form. The boy performed various moves that suited the weapon well, ranging from using its motorcycle form as an actual weapon, much to the amusement of the orc members, and various moves with its buzzsaw mode. Kiba noted that it was fluid, hard-hitting, compact for a pair of gigantic buzzsaws. Cool. Kaneko chimed in. The buzzsaws reverted to its original form and glowed a crimson light as it became a pair of goggles around Issei's neck. Issei-kun, what other devil arms are you looking for? Kiba asked in curiosity. Since I found the first one on the list, there should be 4 more to find. One is pair of twin scimitars, an electric guitar that is literally electric, a set of fire-based gauntlets and greaves, and a 3-pronged nunchaku with 3 forms of combat, Issei said. Biba was visibly excited when Issei mentioned the twin scimitars. Well, that's taken care of. You guys have anything else to do? Issei asked the group. We're done for tonight. Do you have anything in mind? Rias asked. Yes. I need your help with rescuing the nun with the sacred gear, Issei requested. I'm sorry, Ice. As much as I want to say yes, we can't. The Fallen will view it as a declaration of war, Rias explained with a sad expression. I see, I'll have to do this on my own, I guess, Issei solemnly said. I'm sorry, Ice. Rios apologized sincerely. It's alright. I'll view this as my first real fight, Issei now said with determination. Very well, but I will still try to find a way to help you, Rios said. Thank you, but you, Issei said as he left the scene. I will definitely help you, Rias thought to herself as Issei disappeared into the darkness of the night. Next day, Issei was seen riding Cavaliere to school, but instead of its regular demonic appearance, he applied magic to it and changed its appearance to a red Honda CBR 1000RR with black wheels and titanium exhaust pipes. The students couldn't help but stare at Issei's bike as he parked and took off his black helmet with a red dragon design plastered on its lower half and let his snow-white hair flow down as squeals of female students could be heard throughout campus. "He looks so cool with that bike of his. I wish you'd take me out on a ride with it," a girl said. Issei couldn't help but be amused at the various comments he's receiving from the student body, ranging from curses by the male students and a massive storm of compliments from the female students. He made his way to class, and he was immediately approached by the perverted duo. "Issei, how did you get that bike?" Matsuda screamed into Issei. "Well, I've been saving a lot of money for it since it's my dream bike, with support and consent from my mother, of course." Issei explained casually. With what seemed like divine intervention, the teacher came in and announced the beginning of homeroom and class went on for the rest of the day. Issei skipped going to the orc club room and notified Rias about it to avoid worrying her and the other members. Pyo's shopping district afternoon. Issei is seen wearing casual clothes as he was about to go inside the arcade. He stumbled upon a familiar blonde he met. "Asia-chan, what are you doing here?" Issei asked in confusion. "I came to go around town to familiarize myself with town," Asia said half-heartedly. "I see. Want me to come along? I can show the good spots in here," Issei said with a toothy grin. "I'd love that," Asia said with a smile. Little did they know that Rainer and a group of Rouge exorcists were watching them. Issei and Asia made their way inside a fast food restaurant. Asia was seen fidgeting around as she was not familiar with this type of food service. "I'll have 2 medium burger meals, please." Issei jumped much to the relief of Asia. The pair sat down at one of the unoccupied seats, and set their trays down and began to eat. Asia was confused as she didn't know how to eat a burger. Issei, seeing this, decides to teach Asia. "You unwrap it like this and take bites out of it, and the fries you can just eat by hand," Issei instructed as Asia took a bite. "It's delicious, Issei-san. I didn't know food like this exists," Asia exclaimed happily. Issei was happy to see that Asia was taking a liking to Kwa and its numerous places to go to. "Asia-chan, why did you go to Kwa in the first place? Please answer me honestly," Issei asked in a serious tone. "I was told that they need my powers to further help the church," Asia said teary-eyed. "How would they go about that?" Issei asked. "I have no clue. All I know is that they will extract my healing powers for the church," Asia said. "Drake, what happens to a sacred gear wielder when their sacred gear gets taken away?" Issei asked the dragon in him. "I'm afraid to tell you this, partner, but she will die from having that much energy extracted from her," Drake solemnly said. Issei's aura flared out in anger, managing to suppress it to not scare Asia. "Asia, do you trust me when I do this to you?" Issei said as he prepared to cast a spell on Asia. "Yes, Issei-san, you're the only person who has shown me kindness and compassion that I can't find from anyone else." Issei nodded and casted the spell on Asia. "What does this do, Issei-san?" Asia asked curiously. "You'll find out soon enough," Issei said cryptically. The pair went outside to sit on a bench with Asia smiling happily with a stuffed animal that Issei won for her in the arcade. "Asia-chan, how did you get your healing powers?" Issei asked curiously. "I was born with them, but I was abandoned by my parents, and was raised by the church. I was named the Holy Maiden because of my healing powers," Asia said with a sad smile. "I'm sorry, Asia-chan, I shouldn't have asked," Issei said with a frown. "It's all right, Issei-san, please let me continue," Asia said as Issei nodded in compliance. "On one fateful night I saw a man collapse from his injuries. I of course healed him, but once he stood up, he sprouted a pair of bat-like wings and was revealed to be a devil. There were witnesses from that incident. Then I was called a witch for having the power to heal a devil, leading to me being labeled a heretic by the church," Asia explained in a solemn tone. "When you had nowhere to go, you went with the fallen angels then," Issei said as he connected the dots. "Yes, but it's all right. I believe that this is a trial from God, and when I overcome this trial, my dream will be a reality, and that is to have friends that I'll have a chat with, read books, and grow up with to be good people. Asia said. Aren't I already your friend? Asia-chan, Issei sincerely spoke. You mean it, Issei-san? Asia said as her face brightened up. Yes, what we did earlier is what friends do all the time, Issei said with smile. Suddenly, Issei felt an illusion barrier being cast, and Rainer and a group of rogue exorcists appeared, surrounding the pair. Issei, we need her back with us. Rainer demandingly spoke. All right, but humor me with, but one question, what are you going to do with her? Issei asked with venom in his voice. I'm not allowed to say, Rainer said. Issei reluctantly let Asia go with Rainer to avoid revealing the supernatural to the humans as they cast an illusion spell and teleported away. Asia spoke and said her last goodbye to Issei. Goodbye, Issei-san, thank you for being a true friend to me. Asia said with a teary smile as she was teleported away. The nun knows what's going to happen when her sacred gear gets taken away from her. Drake said in Issei's mind. Yeah, the spell I cast on her will teleport me to her when she gets in trouble, and it's something that's guaranteed to happen. Issei replied to his dragon. I do residence. Nighttime. Issei was seen laying on his bed waiting for the spell to trigger, but to his disappointment, an hour passed by and nothing seemed to happen. Fuck it, I'm going there now, Issei said to himself. Finally, it's about time we get some action, partner, Drake said excitedly. Yeah, it's been way too long. It should have activated by now, Issei said concerned. Issei hopped on Cavaliere and zoomed through the street straight to the church entrance. Issei crashed through the double doors of the church entrance and was met middle, Kaloana, Donsik, and a lot of rogue exorcists. Rain are nowhere to be seen. The three fallen angels tried to stop the rogue exorcists from attacking the boy, but they were too late. Issei was already charging at them with the twin buzzsaws. Issei made quick work of the rogue exorcists with a flurry of wild swings using Cavaliere and mixing it up by sweeping them away in its motorcycle form. I'll ask again, where is the nun? Issei now spoke in a cold yet demanding tone. She's in an underground cave, the entrance is behind the altar. Kaloana spoke in fear. Is this why Rainer was so fearful of this boy? I can tell he's holding back by a massive amount. He could have easily killed all of us, but why didn't he? Kaloana thought to herself. Issei made his way down the cave and was met with over 100 rogue exorcists, and looked towards an altar with a giant cross and an unconscious Asia tied up to it. Issei was now really pissed at the sight, and was even more enraged when he saw the crazed priest Fried Selzen with a shit-eating grin plastered across his face. You're too late, shitty devil. She's gonna die, and I have her healing powers. I'm gonna be invincible. The crazed priest shouted with pride. This is where you perish, Issei said without a hint of emotion. Issei then decimated the entire army of exorcists with Cavaliere in his hands. He then materialized Severance, and charged at the crazy priest, slashing and hacking his entire body that not even Twilight Healing can keep up. Issei stood over the lifeless body of the crazed priest, and took the set of rings that contained Twilight Healing. Issei carried the unconscious body of Asia and laid her down on one of the benches in the church. Asia-chan, wake up, please, Issei spoke in a soft tone. Asia stirred awake, but her life was hanging on by a thread. Thank you, Issei-san, even it was for a short time. You made me feel what it's like to have friends, what life is beyond church, and made me have fun for the first and last time in my life. I will never forget you, Issei-san, Asia weakly said, as a single tear rolled down her cheek and died. I'm sorry, Asia, I couldn't save you, I shouldn't have let you go, Issei said as tears rolled down his cheeks. Partner, do you still have the piece of paper the Gremry girl gave you? She may be able to help you, Drake asked his host. He reached for said piece of paper and activated it. The Gremry magic circle soon appeared and out come Rias and the rest of the orc. They were shocked when they saw what his had done to the place. No signs of life apart from his himself, and the recent scent of 3 fallen angels and an unconscious body of a blonde nun. Ice, what happened here? Rias asked in concern as she saw Issei in tears. I tried to save her, but I failed. Then I remembered you having spare pieces for your peerage, and I think you can save her life, Issei said. I can, but what can she do in return? Rias asked. She had her sacred gear taken away from her. I thought that when you reincarnate her into a devil, it will merge the sacred gear with her again, Issei explained. Alright, I'll try, Rias stated as she pulled out a bishop piece. In the name of Rias Gremory, I command thee, Asia Argento, for your soul to return to this world and rejoice in your new life as my bishop. Rias finished the incantation as the bishop piece slowly gets absorbed by Asia. But you, is she alright? Issei asked in concern. Yes, give her some time, she'll wake up soon, Rias said. Asia begins to stir awake, much to the relief of Issei and the others. Issei-san, what happened to me? Asia asked curiously. Asia, you're now a reincarnated devil, Issei said as he dropped a bomb on Asia. I see, I was given a second chance at life. I will see this as an opportunity to fulfill my dream, Asia said sadly at first, then turned her mood around. Rias then took Asia with her to stay in her apartment for the time being. Or clubroom, afternoon. Enter, Rias said as the door opens, revealing Issei. Hello, but you called me here. Where are the others? Issei asked in confusion. Yes, I called you here and the others are out doing their devil duties, Rias answered. Alright then, what's this about? Issei asked. I want you to take Asia in before she's transferred to our school, Rias explained. That won't be a problem, but why me though? Issei said in confusion. Well, I feel that you and Asia are well acquainted with one another, and she'll be more comfortable around you, Rias explained as Asia gets out of the changing room. Hi Issei-san, how do I look? Asia asked shyly while wearing Kua Academy's female uniform. You look wonderful, Issei said sincerely. By the way, she'll be put in your class ice. Rias added, alright, but I'll have to ask my mother about Asia moving in with me, Issei said. Can I come along? I would like to ask for her consent myself and meet her as well, Rias said. Sure. Let's go then, Issei replied. Issei and Rias first made sure that Asia made it to Rias' apartment safely. The pair then went to Issei's house. I do residence. Evening. I'm home, Issei announced. Welcome back, dear. Kalina was interrupted when she saw the repeated beauty behind Issei. I say, who is she? Kalina asked her son. Well, Mom, this is Rias Gremory, my club president, senpai, and a high-class devil, Issei said as he introduced Rias. It's a pleasure to meet you, Mrs. Hyoudou. I'm Rias Gremory, as your son had said, Rias said politely with a slight bow. Rias just stared at Kalina. Her snow-white hair, crimson eyes, and amazing figure had her slack-jawed. It's as if she's looking at the female version of Issei. Rias was surprised when she couldn't sense anything coming from the woman. It's as if she was not there, but she was certain that she's a devil. Likewise, Rias, and please call me Kalina. I'm not one for honorifics, Kalina said with a smile. Very well, Kalina-san, Rias said. Kalina gestured Rias and Issei to take their seats in the living room, where Kalina returned with snacks and drinks for the pair. So, Rias, what brings you here? Kalina asked, breaking the silence. Recently I reincarnated a human to a devil. Her name is Asia Argento, and she grew quite close to ice. I would like to request her homestay to be here since she's more comfortable when she's with your son, Rias explained, earning a nod from Kalina. Kalina couldn't hold back a massive smile forming on her face. She always wanted a little sister for Issei, and now was a prime opportunity for it to come into fruition. Of course, we'll gladly take her in. When is she moving in? Kalina asked excitedly. She'll move in tomorrow afternoon after our classes, and she'll be put in your son's class, Rias said as she winked towards Issei. All right, I look forward to meeting her, Kalina said, brimming with excitement. By the way, Rias, are you single? My son has terrible luck with women, Kalina said, amused. Rias blushed as red as her hair when she heard Kalina. Why yes, but I'm not looking for any relationships of that manner, my peerage, and I just want to have a friendly relation with your son, Rias said shyly. Shame, you two look good together. Issei's eyes most certainly match your hair, quite the spectacle to see, Kalina said with a smirk. Mother? Issei said as he too was blushing hard. Come on, ever since that date with the fallen angel you haven't been seeking out women, and you being at your age concerns me. Kalina said in a mocking her son. Anything to add, Rias? Kalina added. That would be all. Thank you for your hospitality and accepting my request. I'll be going now, Rias said politely as she headed for the door. Issei accompanied Rias through the door and said their goodbyes as Rias teleported away. You going after her? Kalina teased her son. SS shut up. Issei stuttered with a clear blush. Issei proceeded with his nightly duties and started a conversation with his dragon. Hey, Drake. Issei called for the dragon. Yes, partner? Drake replied. Is there a way for me to conceal my aura further? The boy queried. Yes, you can delete your presence entirely. Haven't you noticed your mother? I can't sense anything from her even when she transformed, and my senses are far superior to any supernatural being. Drake explained. I see. I have to ask her how she does it. Good night and thanks, Drake, Issei said to the dragon as Drake went to sleep as well. Next day, classes went on as usual and Issei's lunchtime problem. Issei couldn't wait for Asia to move in with him and his mother. Issei went home earlier than normal to wait for Asia's arrival and received lessons from her mother on how to completely delete his presence. Knock knock was heard throughout the Haida's home. Issei opened the door, and his eyes shimmered as he saw Asia beside Rias and a moving truck that carried Asia's belongings. Hello, Issei-san, I'll be in your care, Asia said with a smile. Era, is this the Asia that Rias mentioned yesterday? Kalina chimed in, appearing behind Issei. Asia couldn't believe it. The beauty that was behind Issei completely caught her eyes. Are you Issei-san's sister? Asia asked innocently. You're mistaken, I'm his mother Yufufu, Kalina said with a chuckle. Issei-san's mother TT. Thank you for raising him to be such a kind and compassionate person. Asia said sincerely. It's nothing. Why don't you two ladies come in? Kalina said. Asia, Issei, Kalina, and Rias made their way to the living room as Issei helped in moving Asia's belongings to the spare room across Issei's room. I believe introductions are in order, Rias said as she sipped her cup of tea. Right. My name is Asia Argento. It's a pleasure to meet you, Mrs. Hyoudou. Asia introduced herself with a bow. The pleasure is all mine, Asia-chan, and please call Kalina. I'm not one for formalities, Kalina said while holding her left cheek. All right, Kalina Akuzen, Asia said as she already views Kalina as her mother figure. Kalina couldn't help but pounce on the girl and held her in a warm embrace. Asia felt affection, something she didn't feel while she was still living under the church. Rias, why don't you stay and eat dinner with us? Kalina asked the redid. Unfortunately, I can't, devil duty calls, Rias said sheepishly. Issei felt that Rias was lying. He's never seen her go out for devil contracts. What could she be hiding? Gua Academy, homeroom. Issei for the first time made his way to class on time, much to the surprise of the teacher who just came in. Good morning, class. Today we have a transfer student. You may come in now, the teacher said as Asia made her way over the board. Hello, everyone. My name is Asia Argento. I transferred here from Italy. I hope we get along well. Asia introduced herself with a smile. Both boys and girls cheered in joy as Asia was cut off from her introduction. The teacher managed to control the commotion and allow Asia to continue. I'm currently living with Issei-san as of yesterday, Asia said innocently. The males in Issei's class immediately gave him death glares. Issei, why the hell is she living with you? Mitsuda bellowed at Issei. How are you this lucky? Motohama said in jealousy. She was lost, okay? I only did what a normal person would do when someone is lost and has nowhere to go, and I see her as a little sister, Issei said calmly. Class went on until the afternoon as Issei and Asia made their way towards the Orc Club room. Welcome you too, Rias greeted the pair. Yep, we're here, Issei replied. Take a seat, the both of you, we're just about to discuss getting Asia familiar, Rias said as she summoned a bat. Familiar? Issei pondered. They're small monsters bound by a contract to its master, Rias explained as she summoned a bat. Here's mine, Akino spoke as she summoned a small green oni. Mine's here, Kaneko said as she pats a white cat that somehow looks a bit like her. Mine also. Kiba chimed in as he summoned a small falcon that perched on his shoulder. A knock was heard from door. The door opened and revealed Sona Citri with her peerage behind her. Sona, what brings you here? Rias asked her rival. I came here to introduce my latest peerage piece and go to the familiar forest, Sona said as she fixed her glasses. What a coincidence. I'm also going there to get my new bishop a familiar. We can settle that later. Introductions are in order, Sona said with a slight smile. Ria senpai, who's that? A blonde teenager asked, pointing at Issei. I'm a member here, and who are you again? Issei spoke, answering the teenager's question. Saji Jinshiro, now, who are you and how many pieces did you take? I took 4 pieces. Saji spoke arrogantly. Issei Hyoudou and I didn't take any pieces. Issei said casually, you're that perverted beast, and why the hell do you look so different? It doesn't matter, you're probably weak. Saji again spoke arrogantly. That's enough, Sagi. We're here to make friends, not make enemies, especially him. Sona spoke with caution as she knew what Issei is. It's alright, Kaiju, Issei said as he flared his aura. Everyone in the room felt fear as Issei's aura covered the entire room. They knew that they were no match for him. I'm Asia Argento. It's a pleasure to meet you, Sagi-san. Asia chimed in, lightening the mood. Sagi shot up to shake Asia's hand but was stopped by Issei. I'd rather you not be so chummy with her. Issei spoke coldly. So what about the familiar forest? The familiar master can only take 1 peerage per month. I let go there. Take it as my form of apology for what my pawn did. Everyone greeted and introduced themselves to each other, and went their separate ways. Issei couldn't come with the orc to the familiar forest because he wasn't a part of Ria's peerage, not that he minded, but he did want a familiar of his own. Next day, nighttime, Issei is seen lying on his bed. As he was about to doze off to sleep, a magic circle appeared in the middle of his room, startling Issei. Ria soon came out of it, and seems to be in a rush. But you, Issei said in shock. I don't have much time, Ice, let's do this. Ria said as she began to strip down to her underwear. Rias mounted Issei and grabbed his hand to have it grope her breasts. Maybe, but you, what are you doing? Issei said as he's still trying to recover from shock. I want you to make me yours, take my virginity. Rias said as she began to strip Issei. Issei regained his control and stopped Rias. Rias, what's going on? You can tell me, Issei said as calling Rias by her name snapped her out of it. I am engaged, Rias said as tears were about to escape her eyes. What? To who? Issei said in fury. My family agreed to marry me to the Phoenix family's 3rd son, Rias said weakly. So, an arranged marriage she doesn't agree to? Issei thought to himself. And you thought me taking your virginity will drive the guy off? Issei said calmly. Yes, Rias replied. I have a plan, but I'll only do it if you agree to it as well, Issei said as an imaginary light bulb appeared above his head. Anything? Rias said in a desperate tone. As Issei was explaining the plan to Rias, suddenly a silver version of the Gremry magic circle appeared in Issei's room. Out came a silver-haired woman with 2 front braids, red lipstick, and was wearing a blue and white French-made outfit. But this low life. Your father and Serena will be disappointed, the woman in question said as the magic circle dispersed. Serena? Issei wondered. My older sister. Rias answered Issei's question. You have an older sister? Issei followed up but was ignored. My purity belongs to me. How is it wrong to give it to someone I willingly want to? Rias spoke sternly. Even if you're my sister's queen, I won't allow you to speak lightly of Ice. Rias added because she partly knows how strong Issei is. However way you see this, you are still the heiress of Gremry clan. Have some common sense. The maid spoke. My name is Griefia. I am in the service of the Gremry clan under my king Serena. Pleased to make your acquaintance. The now named Griefia introduced herself with a slight bow. I'm sorry, Ice, I wasn't thinking straight. Your plan, however, is something I can execute, Ria said seductively. Griefia found it suspicious as the pair disappeared from the magic circle. What was that all about? Kalina barged into her son's room as she heard everything that conspired. Let's just say that my debut to the supernatural world is nearly there, Issei said with a grin. That's it, guys. Thanks for listening to my video. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and comment below your favorite part. Sayonara, see you in the next video.